Good day, folks. We're having a quarantine party, and today we're going to talk about the mistakes I made on my recent real estate deal and how I lost $9,200.
What's going on, guys? It's Ryan back at you from the couch. I don't know if y'all have been liking these videos or not, but we're staying at home. We're hanging out, but we're still doing business, and we're going to talk about it. Flying is on standby, so real estate is in full swing as much as we can right now, and I wanted to do another property wholesale investment deal snapshot, little overview recap of a deal that I did. I made a video a little while ago about a deal where I made $20,000 in a double close transaction with some crazy hiccups along the way. But in today's video, I wanted to highlight a deal where I didn't do so well on. A deal that I originally had a $10,000 assignment on that kind of got fumbled, and I ended up making $800 on the deal, but which is still profitable. That's good to make $800, but at the end of the day, 800 is a lot less than 10,000. So I wanted to share this deal, kind of what went wrong with it, what went right, what we could have done better as a learning opportunity if any of you guys are in real estate investing and you're kind of just starting out or have a small operation like myself. So let's jump into the deal, into this case study. We're going to jump into my computer here. I'll give you the address, everything on this thing. All right, so we've got PropStream pulled up right now. The property is 2576 Godfrey Drive, Northwest in Atlanta, Georgia. So if we go to the comparables here, real quick analysis, there was a property that went for 158, rehabbed on the same street at 2-1. Ours is a 3-1. And then this property, 2602 Godfrey, if we click on this, this was actually a property that was rehabbed and put on the market recently after we did our original analysis, but it is active for 217, and that one is only a 2-1, kind of surprising. But basically we figured that the ARV for this property was, I think, somewhere around 180. We originally had the property at 90,000. So the story is we got this guy from a cold calling lead, and he originally wanted 90,000 for his house. He lived in Athens and he had this house in Atlanta. I think his family member was living there. He wanted 90,000. So we came back and we're like, absolutely, that's a great deal. We thought we could flip this thing for about 110, 115. So we're like, perfect, boom, let's get it done. And he wasn't very tech savvy. He wasn't willing to accept the contract via email. So we're like, okay, we'll come out to you, we'll present the contract, whatever you need. At the end of the day, he didn't do that. He kind of got spooked by our whole process and ended up listing with a realtor the same day that we were going to give him this purchase agreement to buy the house direct to buyer. So that was our first mistake on this deal, is a realtor got involved. And contrary to popular belief, you actually can wholesale a property with a realtor involved. Just because there's a realtor involved doesn't mean you can't wholesale it. It's just a little bit trickier. So now the realtor is involved, but we approached the realtor and we're like, hey, we know you just signed this agreement. We were actually already talking to this guy about buying the house. We're going to buy it cash as is. We'll pay all the closing costs. Here's our contract. We'll put your commission fee in there. So now this guy, we've got to pay him a commission fee, but we still thought we had a lot of room on the deal because we're like, okay, we can sell this thing for 115 to an investor. Even at 100, we're at 15,000 profit, was kind of our analysis. So the realtor is involved. We ended up agreeing to a 4,000 fixed commission with the realtor. And of course, now that the buyer has a realtor on his side, he wants 100,000 instead of 90,000. So all we wanted to do was lock this thing up quick before the realtor put it active on market and started shopping it out. So our contract to the seller originally was 104 without ever seeing the house. So we kind of just threw money at it. And we're like, okay, we'll pay 100,000 net to you, Mr. Seller, and we'll give you a $4,000, so 4% fixed commission on the deal. So we're in it at 104, and we're still like, okay, I think we can flip it for 115, maybe even 120, and make a quick 10K. So maybe that wasn't the best way to approach it. If we, on the acquisition side, could have worked better with the buyer or negotiated better with the realtor, we could have got it for a lesser price, which eventually we go through the property, we see it, and we took a buyer through there. The first time us seeing the property was with a buyer, an investor who's interested in buying the property from us as an assignment. So we all walked through it, and here's our second mistake, is we went with that buyer straight off the gun. There was other buyers that were interested, but we decided just to go with the first buyer because there was somebody living there. We didn't want to have to bring a bunch of people in with the realtor involved, and I thought the realtor would kind of get wind of what we were doing, wholesaling it, walking a bunch of people through. So we ended up just going with the first buyer. This buyer said that she represented a hedge fund, and it was kind of unclear to me what that meant. I thought she worked with this hedge fund and represented them in a capacity where she was the one buying the property, but it turns out, mistake number 3, she was double closing it, or basically wholesaling it to this hedge fund. So she was kind of like a JV partner or a middleman in the deal, not the direct end buyer. So we should have vetted her better. So what ended up happening was we had it at 104. She came back with a number of 108. And based on what we saw, we ended up talking the seller down to 98. So we negotiated a $10,000 margin in between. We said, hey man, look, there's some things that you didn't quite disclose to us. I forget what it was. This whole process has been over a month since we got in there. But we talked him down from 104 to 98, 94 to the seller, $4,000 to the realtor. We're in it at 98, assigned it for 108, which was great. And then it kind of came to light through the closing attorney that the person that was buying our property was actually double closing to the hedge fund, which wasn't necessarily a big problem. We were just assigning it to her, and then she was double closing her in for a profit. And I think I don't know what she had, a couple grand on it. But basically 3 mistakes in the chain so far. First off, we should have done a better job in the acquisitions process with the seller before he got involved with the realtor. If we couldn't stop that, then we still should have negotiated harder off the bat on the original price point. But we still locked it up and got control of the property. We talked him down successfully to 98, so we're kind of in the middle there, not the original 90, but not the 104, so that's okay. Third mistake, we should have vetted the buyer better, and we should have looked for more buyers and had backup buyers, because what ended up happening was this property had some title issues, and it held up the process for a while. And then it was really weird because our buyer said that the closing attorney we were using, the fees were too high, or her hedge fund didn't want to use them. They only wanted to use the closing attorney they were with. So we basically had this thing in escrow for 2 to 3 weeks, and then this information comes to light. We have to switch closing attorneys, and we were kind of just working with this buyer and getting not run over, but she was controlling the deal and we weren't controlling the deal at this point. So, and we were kind of just letting her get away with it because we were trying to be flexible and wanted our $10,000 assignment. But then this goes on through March. It's held up for a long time, and the seller wants to close. Everyone wants to close. And then the week of closing, this is supposed to close on a Friday, we get wind Tuesday that the hedge fund now doesn't want to pay 108 anymore, and they're only comfortable paying 96, which is below what we had the property at in the first place. So we're like, what the heck? This isn't going to work. So we basically told our buyer, the lady that was double closing with this hedge fund, that it wasn't going to work. And then we realized that the contract expired that Friday. There really wasn't much we could do because in order to get a new buyer, most of the buyers are going to want to see the property. They're going to have to get maybe approved for a hard money lender. So we were kind of stuck in a time bind, and I ended up trying to negotiate down with the seller's realtor, which didn't really work out in my favor because I don't even think the seller's realtor was really pushing for it, and I couldn't, based on proper etiquette, talk directly to the seller. So there was way too many parties involved. We ended up agreeing to stick with the price on the seller end at 98 and then assign our end for like 98,800 and save the deal just to close for the seller. But because of this whole Corona COVID-19 situation, the hedge fund dropped their price after having this in escrow for over a month. Really ridiculous, but it's better than them backing out altogether. But we have had a lot of buyers back out on deals, and things happen because of this economic collapse and all this craziness going on and uncertainty. But yeah, we ended up making $800 on the deal, and we should have made $10,000. There shouldn't have been a realtor involved. There shouldn't have been this lady middlemaning with the hedge fund. We should have found a new buyer, and we should have gotten it closed quicker. We shouldn't have changed closing attorneys. And it comes down to us, what's in our contract, and just being transparent and voicing more of what the expectations are in the deal, because we didn't, and we were flexible, and trying to work with people, but you can't always be that way. And we should have been more demanding and said, hey, this is how the transaction is going to work. Lay out the details. We control the property, and tell them, hey, this is how it's going to go down. If you have any problems, let me know now, not later. And we kind of got screwed. But we still made money. It was profitable, green. We didn't cancel the deal. At the end of the day, we helped the guy sell his property for what he wanted to sell it for, and we got it done for him. So we helped the seller. We solved a problem, and we provided our service. But it wasn't for the amount of money that we wanted to make, but sometimes that's how the game goes. So anyway, I hope this story helped you in some way, or gave you some insight into the fact that not all real estate deals are great. There's a lot of hiccups and craziness that goes on, and you don't always win. You don't always make 20 grand. And I wanted to post that because my last video I talked about how I make 20 grand, but in this deal, technically I lost out on like $9,200, but it's not always about posting your wins. You got to post your failures as well. And we're all here to learn and just get better every day. So, sort of your full potential, be great. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.